Just gonna quickly make sure that the slides are on presentation mode. Please let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see the screen, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our APC Repeaters Course Open Day. Thank you truly for affording us the time to come present to you to just discuss what we have in store for you, and also just to also get to hear what are some of the feedback or what you would like to see on the program, so that as we continue to engage, we can just get to see where you guys are at, where we're at, and if there are any other clarifying question or any other gaps, we'll be able to clarify those and also make sure that they are minimized to the best as we can. My name is Erelwani Mutero. I am the Managing Director for Endunamo. I am joined by my boss, my academic head, Ferdinand, and we also have a whole lot of team, which is just working on the background to make sure that the session goes well, and they're also here to make sure that they support myself and Fedi as we are your presenters, and to make sure that if there are any other queries which you're going to have, they are attended to. So the reason I'm also saying that is, please, as we're presenting this the session, please don't wait for till the end. If there's any other area you wanna just clarify, you're welcome to just drop a chat in the chat box, and there will be someone who will respond to it. Or if there is an area maybe which you believe that you just want to make sure that you talk through it, please raise your hand, and then we'll just acknowledge you, and you can unmute and go ahead and ask your question. And I think just basic this session's etiquette, please keep your cameras and mic off until you need to talk. But otherwise, just excited to be here to make sure that we just take you through our program, what differentiate our program, how we believe that our program will will empower you to become successful come the 4th of December 2024 as you sit for the psycho assessment. But even much before then, that as Fedi and team finalize those different case studies, that we're going to walk the journey with you to make sure that you're well empowered before that we even get there. So I'm just going to continue in terms of the presentation as to what we have. As I noted, that really we really have a short agenda, just mainly for those who don't know who Endunamo is. We're just going to have a very high level. We call ourselves a family of transformation, because really our main reason for existence is really just to continue to bring impact to the profession and transform the profession. And then also Fedi is going to come through, just talk to you through the different, the structure of the APC Repeaters course. And I'm going to come back through again, just take you through the different general information, how you register, how much the course is, how we're going to also support you, what are the different structures you'll have after you've registered, and how we're going to make sure that we continually support you throughout the program. So in terms, as I was saying, in terms of who Endunamo is, really this year we're excited that we'll be celebrating our 11th year of existence. Endunamo School of Accounting, as it was when it was found in 2013, and it has grown to now become Endunamo Institute, which really our ethos there when we were conceived, we used is in expert learning with a personal touch. And for us, it was just that part of saying that we understand that, yes, you are studying, but we also understand that you're a well-rounded professional, that you don't need only support in the classroom, but outside of the classroom. And as we go through our program, you'll also get to understand how we have really grown, and we have embraced the personal touch ethos which we had when we came to existence 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago. And they really, Endunamo Institute really it started first as just supporting the CTA candidates, but then it has grown over that, because I think for yourselves, you'll also get to see, you'll also get to also agree the usefulness of the different basics which you build from the CTA perspective, that we've realized that as we build the CTA material, it not only serve the CTA candidates, but it has grown to serve the ITC, APC candidates, and also SEMA candidates, in making sure that that part, from an APC perspective, to make sure that that part which Fedi is going to talk about, when it says that, yes, it's the professional exams, but you need to still have your technical skills in check. So our Endonamo Institute, through that different material, ensures that that part is covered. And as we continue to grow, our candidate really came and said that, yes, you've supported me through CTA, but I want you to walk the journey even much further with me. That's where we also Endonamo Board course came to be, when we started supporting our CTA candidates, and we also got to grow, because we also got to have the different candidates who could have been repeating candidates from different institutions also joining us to benefit from our comprehensive support, to make sure that they go to secure their success in ITC. And as our new baby, no longer a baby anymore, this year we'll be celebrating our 5th year with our Endonamo Professional course, EPC, which is the course which you guys for this open day are going to be served under. But for us here, Fedi continues to preach that we want to build a well-rounded professional, someone who's got good ethical values, someone who's going to have the expert which is required in the different positions they have, but not only have the expert, but be ethical and be a responsible citizen. And for us, really, that's what EPC stands for. And that's what we believe, that one of the other part which we have as one of our ethos is that we want to empower you even beyond APC. And that's what we have seen even with some of our candidates who come back even in the different other aspect within the program, to say that we want to empower you to make sure that you're successful through for your APC assessment, but not only that, but you're also successful in your professional environment. So those are the 3 brands really which Endonamo is empowered on, and it's really held in. And in terms of the team, we were a team who are really, I call ourselves team who is passionate and who is obsessed with development and developing others. And for us, it's just to say that we are a team who is really passionate to see others grow, to see others develop, to see others also succeed and become the chartered accountants, and join the profession and come back again. For us, is that part of saying that come back again and contribute to the profession. So this really it's just a high level team. There are still whole other teams which are also involved, which were involved in the background of your development. So from my top left up, we have our academic head, who's Ferdinand, who I've already noted that he's here with us, who's gonna be joining us, so that he will take you through the program structure and how the program is structured, to make sure that we support you towards your success, and we support you towards some of the challenges maybe, or the gaps which you could have had, which could have led to you not attaining that outcome which we have all hoped for. But so for us, Fedi he's that person. He has been with us since inception, even before our EPC has been with us when Endonamo was really formed. So he has been with us throughout the program, and really he's the one who leads the program and who leads the team. So these are just the different faces which you're going to be having in terms of making sure that we support you towards your development. But I think maybe before I also proceed, one of the other aspects which we note is that in the audience, we have different candidates who are coming from different journeys. We have candidates who are from SAICA perspective, repeating candidates, and we've noted that we also have international candidates. And one of the other aspects is that we do acknowledge that there are still certain finalization which we still need to do, and those will definitely be communicated with yourselves. For those who are, for example, who are based in Zim or who are ACA affiliated and who want to join our program, those are some of the final details which we are finalizing, and we'll definitely also just communicate with you in terms of the progress of those. But otherwise, please do not feel like we are leaving you out, but we do understand the different needs which you have, and we are working with the different stakeholders to make sure that we also support you in your development. We also support you towards your journey of becoming a chartered accountant, either chartered accountant in Zim, chartered accountant through the different pathways which may be offered by the different institutions. So please, maybe if we're going through the session and you feel like maybe we're not touching some of the areas which also addresses where you at, we have not really forgotten about you. It's just that we also just finalizing some of those touch-ups with the different stakeholders who still also need to just give us feedback in terms of just other different matters which needs to be finalized. So and also maybe in terms of also part of the team, as I noted, that is part of the technical team. But what we also have is that as I noted, that we believe that your development is not only limited to you're in the classroom or in the different organization you have through the different professional journeys which you're having. But then what we have is that we have also a caretaking team which will make sure that you don't need to be stressed about any administrative issues, or not only from an admin issue, but also someone who will just check up on you to understand how you're doing from your different academic areas, if there's anything they can assist you with, so that you're never alone. So we do have a different team of caretakers. We have a candidate taker who's just directly dedicated to yourself, and we have you'll see that under online I've not mentioned anyone, is because we have grown our online team to make sure that there is no any time where you are not properly assisted, but there's someone who is there to make sure that you're supported and you're assisted, and we're able to make sure that we cater to your different needs. I'm just gonna pause a bit here to check if there is anything which maybe we need to clarify. I don't see anything on the comments. I don't see any hands. Okay, I see the comments. Great. There's an echo. I'm hoping that the echo was resolved. Hi, do you guys perform a one-on-one review of the APC paper once we receive our scripts from SAICA to help us pinpoint the weaknesses and develop our critical thinking? Absolutely, and this is one of the area which Freddy will touch on when he one of our other offering when you register for our APC repeaters course, is that it comes with script review, and for us it's not only just the script review which will be mainly in class, but is the personalized one where you will have our marking team going on a line-by-line basis, just taking you through as to what are some of the gaps which they might have identified. But Fedi will also take you through that as he just outlines what the program structure has and what we have to make sure that we best support you. We best support you in making sure that come for December, you're successful in your APC assessment. There doesn't seem to be anyone covering audit from your team. Ferdinand, maybe he will best introduce himself best, but he is actually an audit partner at one of the top 4 firms. So he is one he's the one who covers audit, Morven, in terms of just clarifying that question, in terms of who covers the different disciplines. So we do have Fedi, who covers the audit part, but as I've also noted, the team which I had flighted there are just mainly the team leaders, what we call team leaders, but they are also supported by other supporting professional team members who also covers the different other disciplines within the professional program. All right, I don't see any hands from my side, and I don't see any further comments. Let me just quickly scroll up to see if there was any which I could have missed. Okay. Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna be on the background as Fedi takes us through the professional program and how it's structured to best support you. If there are any other queries you may have or any clarifying question, please also you are welcome to pause Fedi and he will pause and clarify any areas. You can just raise your hand. But also if you wanna drop any other clarifying issues on the chat platform, please continue to do so. Fedi, you can take over from here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ere. And good evening, everyone. Maybe I guess before I guess Ere has introduced me. Before I kick it off and give an overview of the program, I guess let me just take the moment as well to just give you a word of encouragement to say it's always a tough period at this point, probably in your journey of becoming a chartered accountant. Most, if not all of you guys have received your results on Friday, and it was not a successful outcome. So different emotions, different feelings, different thoughts, confusion, especially after the extensive amount of work that you guys have, each and every single one of you guys have put into this journey, into academic programs, into ITC or into APC, but the results were not the successful outcome. I just want to say, yes, it will take a bit of time for you to absorb the results and to get to a point where you accept. However, it will be very important to look forward and say, yes, it's not over, as in you will come out successful. You will have an amazing story to share one day. And I think if there's one thing that must keep us going, it must be exactly that. That, listen, I will give it another big shot and I will come out successful. And once you come out successful, you will live to tell a story. So, whilst we are on that, let me talk about our program. And in this slide, I'm going to talk about things that distinguish us from other professional providers. And then I'm going to, in the next slide, talk about how we structure our program in terms of timelines and what we do when. So there are 9 distinguishing factors, guys, that sets us apart. And I'm going to take you one at a time. And when I'm talking about these 9 distinguishing factors, I'm going to talk to them with reference to the situation that you might be sitting in, which is talking to a repeat candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 on the list is critical thinking workshop. We as EPC have extensive critical thinking workshops. So the reason we have this critical thinking workshops is to outline, to teach, and to embed in you the skill of critical thinking, because it's such an important skill for a chartered accountant. It's an important skill for a business leader in practice. It makes you well-rounded. And this critical thinking skill is the skill that enables you to continuously be someone that is probing situations, that is asking relevant questions, that is curious and demonstrating curiosity to be like, I'm not going to accept things at face value. Things, if they are provided to me, I need to question them. I need to find all the facts before I make a decision. That is a critical thinking skill. We develop that skill and then we assess that skill. So where do we develop that skill? In this critical thinking workshop. So our resident doctor, Dr. Pullen, that Ere introduced, has a doctorate or PhD in learning and development, and specifically wrote his thesis on critical thinking. So he is the gent that will be taking you through different techniques as to what you need to do and what techniques you need to use to demonstrate that critical thinking. That's number one. Number two is business acumen workshop. We say, right, at EPC again, and APC on its own, it's an area or it's a program that requires you to be able to adapt to different environments. And because as a chartered accountant, you will not have a lifetime career or lifetime job. You will not be married to a single job. So in your life, you'll be probably have 4 to 5 jobs or 4 to 5 businesses, depending on whether you are entrepreneurial, corporate, etc. And those will range from public to private sector, will range from different industries, will range from different sectors. Think about the APC 2023, which was a case study that was built around an airline business. Okay, if I'm not exposed to an airline business at work, how am I expected to adapt to that industry within 5 days and do extremely well? I chose that word intentionally, extremely well, because as a professional accountant, as a chartered accountant, everything you do, you need to do it and do it very well. So how do you do that? And this is the purpose of our business acumen workshops, where we firstly, in the first workshop, we really take you through the techniques, the tools that you guys probably do know, and you are requiring to be developed as to how to use those techniques, as to how to adapt to an industry, to a sector. How do I do that? If you guys remember things like the 6 capitals, if you remember things like Porter's 5 forces, if you think about SWOT analysis, those kind of tools that we've used when we did our undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, we need to refresh those, because those are useful tools that one needs to use to adapt to an industry and adapt quite quickly. And that's not it. It's not a theoretical workshop only. It takes it even further to say, right, now let's use those tools to really be comfortable in a particular case study, into a particular industry, into a particular sector. We demonstrate that application for you to be at a point that you can stand on your own and do it yourself. So the follow-up workshops, business acumen workshops, that's where we invite industry leaders. And the industry leaders will also come and talk to you about different industries that they are in, and the topical issues in their industries. And they will talk to you also about what makes their business tick. Because your mind needs to be very business-minded. You need to understand that for a business to make money, there is a particular business model, and I need to understand that business model. And that business model is what results in different revenue streams flowing into my income statement. How does that happen? What are the different risks that are challenging or threatening the flow of that revenue into my income statement and protection of that revenue and profitability of that business? And that you're going to get from this industry leaders that I say will be invited throughout the program. You will see on the timetable, for those that have already had a pick sneak on the timetable, to see that those industry leaders come and have those sessions where you can also engage with them and understand those topical industries and ask the relevant questions. So quite important skill that you need to adapt and be sure that it's something that you can do within half a day and be an expert in that industry during the 5-day period. And now, later on, as you evolve and become that chartered accountant, you will be able to use that skill no matter where you land in South Africa, outside the borders of South Africa, in the Southern African countries, in the African countries, the rest of the continent, globally, and any sector. That's how, and the tools that you're going to use to adapt to that environment. Then the third is business writing. At some point, we pause and say, we're going to have a business writing workshop. And this is when we bring in language experts. We bring in business writing experts that are going to say, there are instances where candidates do not do well in their assessments, not because they don't know, not because they don't understand the case study, not because they don't understand the question or the task at hand. They do. And everything that we require that is sitting on the marking grid, they have thought about. But the manner, or either it didn't make its way into their responses, or the manner in which it made its way into their responses is not sufficient. So that is what the business writing experts help us with. So what they help us with, number one, is to make sure that we can demonstrate effective communication skills. And those effective communication skills vary between demonstrating logic in your thinking, making sure that when you're going to put it on writing, there is a logical flow and you're expressing yourself clearly, you're articulating the issue and backing it up with facts and reasons. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about situations where when you're being assessed for competence, they say you did not cover enough, meaning your coverage was lacking. And they will unpack that to say you need to have a certain number of indicators at a minimum before we get to a competent level. But how do I do that? How do I make sure that I read very well in such a way that I do not miss issues? Because it's attentive reading that will make sure that when I'm attentively reading every statement and pausing and say, is this telling me something that I need to challenge and apply critical thinking? That's when you are then accumulating all the points necessary to achieve coverage. Or you've got feedback that says you did not, you covered a lot, but there was limited depth. In that case, then it means you are providing us with a framework to show us that you know these things, but you're not giving us reasons why. That's depth. We need to demonstrate to you why and why and why. So that when you write it, no one comes back to you and says, so what? They can read it. The assessor will sit there and say, wow, I understand why this is an issue. If it's a review comment, why you are raising this review note, because you've justified it with reasons and why it was wrongly done and what could have been the right thing to do. That is covering it with depth. So the business writing workshops enables you to really get to a point where your coverage is appropriate, your depth is appropriate, you are logical, you're clear in your expression, in articulating yourself, your responses are well presented, and you are responding at the appropriate tone to the audience that you are being required to respond to. That is the third thing that distinguishes us. So I'm going to get to the next layer of things that distinguish us. You know, this one, for as a repeat candidate, it's something that needs to be very, very close to your heart. This is technical acumen. I know on my slide it says CTA videos and material. I call it technical acumen. Why am I talking about technical acumen? Every chartered accountant is required to maintain their technical competence. So maintaining your technical competence means you need to continuously be technically astute and be technically competent the same way you were when you passed your CTA, the same way when you passed your ITC. I know there is a phenomenon out there that says APC is not a technical assessment. Absolutely correct. APC is not a technical assessment. However, APC is built on a strong technical foundation. So the case study that you guys wrote in APC 2023, you can sit now and count the number of technical tasks that were there. As much as it's not a technical assessment, there were a number of technical tasks ranging from audit and assurance, financial reporting and accounting, financial management, management decision-making and control, strategy, risk management and governance, ethics, etc. Tax, how can I forget that one? But over and above that, we layer that technical base with, we layer it, just a second, guys. Thank you. We layer that technical base with a number of these professional skills, because at APC, what we want to do, we want to assess not just your technical acumen, but we want to assess your critical thinking, your business acumen, your business writing, your decision-making skill, your problem-solving skills. All those professional skills are layered on top of a technical case study. So hence it was so important for you to know IFRS 15, to know IFRS 16, lease accounting, to know how to value a business technically, to know how to compute an income tax calculation. So all those things that I'm talking about are technical bases. And if you have written your technical assessment a year ago, which none of you will be, 2 years ago, maybe, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, that technical acumen start diminishing over time. And what we do, we provide you with a library of all our CTA lecture material together with our CTA videos. That's where lecturers are unpacking those lecture materials to enable you continuously throughout the year in areas where you feel like there is a need, either because that standard was introduced after you passed your CTA, meaning new standards and new interpretations, new legislations, new acts, etc. You are able to go to those and build your technical base again, or refresh that technical base, or because a case study is built on IFRS 15, IFRS 16, etc., you can then, once it's triggered, you can go to those and understand those concepts again and freshen up on them and update your understanding. Quite important. The fifth distinguishing feature is what we call live developmental case studies. So our program starts at the beginning of April. And from April, which I'm going to show you in the next slide, we develop this professional skills, critical thinking. We have the workshops, we have the business acumen workshops, business writing workshops, etc., to develop this professional skills. But once we develop those professional skills, then we give you a previous psych case study. It's not going to be the APC 2023, but a dated case study, which we call it a live developmental case study, to show you, so to walk the journey with you guys again and remind you those things, to say, remember when you read a case study, this is how you need to read it. This is how you identify a trigger. It might sound like, guys, I know how to identify a trigger. I know once I identify a trigger, I know exactly what I need to go research. Do you? I know exactly how to research. I know, because once you're researching, you need to be a subject area expert. That's what I always say. You need to be an expert in the matter. What does it take to be that expert? We demonstrate to you. That's why we use that case study as a developmental case study, to show you how, if we were in your shoes, we will do it, so that you can learn. In April, the whole of April, the whole of May, the whole and a bit of June, we're showing you, we are fine-tuning you again to say, guys, we need to redevelop you. We need to demonstrate to you how a case study needs to be done. Okay, and we break this case study into multiple tasks. It's not like we're going to sit for the full 8 hours and attempt it. No, we break it down so that we can walk the journey with you and give you what we call a mini case study to also do and get feedback before we really get into a case study phase of the program. And in that process, when we develop you, we give you feedback as well as to where you are at. And I guess if you are a repeat candidate, which majority of you guys are in this case, then we've got the APC 2023 as well as another developmental case study where we've got, I guess, the case study, then we've got your script, that then we're going to use again as another developmental case study to say, this is your script, this is the case study. Let's look at it. Let's look at all those LC outcomes and give you proper feedback as to what you did well, what you did not do well, and what is our advice going forward in documented format, just so that you can redevelop your skill in that respect and reflect and say, where did it all go wrong? Okay, personalized. And after that, and I'm going to talk about it when we get to consultation, I might as well do, is once you do that developmental case study, which is the APC 2023, where we go through your script and we give you feedback on all those LC outcomes, then we give you an opportunity to engage on a consultation basis with the professional team. And maybe because when you are reading that feedback in a report format, maybe it's not sinking. It's not, maybe sometimes when it's written, you want to hear it again, or you want to challenge it and say, but this is not me. This is not what I did. And so that, again, we can have the one-on-one consultation and engage on it and engage on the way forward. So that's the consultation. But that consultation, which I just dealt with, it doesn't just only happen in respect of the the APC 2023 and your script review. No, it is throughout the year. So throughout the year, you've got access to the whole professional team that Ere projected on WhatsApp, and also through consultations where if a question is not going to be a quick text over WhatsApp or over a WhatsApp call, you can set up a consultation of 30 minutes or an hour to engage on a particular matter, it be audit or tax with me, it be a strategy, risk management, or management and financial accounting with Rendani, or IFRS, or with Rendani or ASAN, or it may be again similar with L10 and Madodonke on tax. If you want to engage on those, you've got those consultations. Or on any other topic, you've got those consultations. Or when we start writing our EPC case studies, you've got those consultations. Right. So I've dealt with consultations. Let me go to case study support, which is the 6th distinguishing factor. So the 6th distinguishing factor is this case study support, to say, guys, we're going to write 3 case studies at APC. We've got what we call the baseline case study, which is the first case study that you will be writing towards the end of June. And this case study is going to assess you baseline, to say, well, I guess APC 2023 didn't go well. We reviewed your script, we gave you feedback, we worked with you through that feedback. We instilled some of the professional competencies such as critical thinking, business acumen, business writing throughout workshops. We used a psyche case study to show you and demonstrate to you how this thing needs to be done. We tested you again through the use of a mini case study as part of that a live developmental case studies. We marked you, we gave you feedback again. So you've been grilled, you've been groomed, you've been nurtured. But now let's put you there on your own, 8 hours, 6 days, as you know. Let's release a case study, and which you've never seen in your life. Let's see how you're going to perform. That's our baseline case study. Second case study is our final case study, so that if you do well, then we award you with another certificate. I know you might be sitting there in some instances saying, I don't need a certificate. We'll talk about that. Or you might be saying, my certificate expired last year. We'll talk about that as well. But in this case studies, the 2 case studies that I spoke about, the baseline and the final, and if you don't do well, I guess you've got the third opportunity to write what we call the supplementary case study. But for every of our 3 case study, guys, we give you extensive support post the case study. So we do a post-mortem, a detailed, that takes a month to do that post-mortem. So after every case study, we release what we call a reflection pack. And in the reflection pack, we give you our assessment of what is sitting in the pre-released information. So to say, in the pre-released information, you had the following things. Now, did you think about them? Did you identify the trigger properly? What were the things that you were supposed to go and study and become a subject area expert in? Meaning, were you ready for that day of assessment? Were you ready to receive the information on the day? So that reflection pack has that. It has got our material, including videos of our lecturers or professional team that actually walks the journey for every single trigger as to what you need to have done. So it's like a post-mortem. That's a reflection that's included in the reflection pack. And I'll tell you what more is included in the reflection pack. Our detailed specimen solution and also our marking grid are also included in the reflection pack, so that you walk through the journey of saying, in the pre-release information, what should I have done? What did I do? Etc. And then you learn from that. You must be keeping a journal of the key things that you are picking up, because what that learning that you are picking up from, call it the first case study, as a post-mortem, you need to go and adopt it and apply it in the next case study. So so that you are demonstrating an improvement come every case study from the first one. And then that reflection pack, because it's got the detailed specimen solution and the marking grid, we expect you to then mark yourself, because you'll have access to your script as well that you've submitted. Once the marking team is marking, you in the background need to be marking yourself. You can give yourself every 3 days, I must mark a task and really, really see what I missed and why did I miss it, and how do I make sure that I do not miss it going forward. So that reflection pack helps you to reflect, so that when the results also come, you are also already knowing exactly what outcome you're expecting. You're already miles away in terms of learning and making sure that you are prepared for the following case study. And then we've got feedback sessions. And the feedback sessions, that's when then now we use 3 Saturdays, two tasks per Saturday, where then for those 3 Saturdays, we say, let's work through the task together. Because now we've walked through the pre-release information, but what was I supposed to do on the day? So the professional team will come on screen, and a few of them on a hybrid mode, where then we talk about what you should have done on the day, so that we demonstrate to you continuously as to how to pick these points, how to write, etc. So that is what the feedback sessions are all about, to make sure that you understand what this case study support is all about. The 7th is the wellness support. You know, my coaches always tell me that, Fedi, for you to do very well in this program and in life as a father, as a husband, and as a partner at one of the professional firms, you need to be well. You need to be well looked after emotionally, mentally. You need to be in an environment that is conducive. And that's why we've got our coaches. So we've got our resident coaches that are here and will walk the journey with you. Firstly, to talk to you and help you deal with academic failure and accepting. And how do I pull myself up and start working again? And how do I deal with exam anxiety? How do I deal with a number of things? How do I balance home responsibilities, work responsibilities, and studying responsibilities? All these things are captured in this wellness support that our trained and qualified coaches that we contract with come, and you will see on our timetable, they deal with this for us. Then we've got mentorship support, which is the 8th. And the mentorship support, that's where our mentors, at your discretion. So a mentorship is a voluntary program that you can enroll yourself in and raise your hand and say, I need a mentor. But I always say, you do need a mentor, because a mentor will be that someone that keeps on checking up on you and reminding you you've got school responsibilities. You've got as someone that once you get feedback, you can go back to and bounce off certain things with and say, I don't understand this. I don't understand this feedback. I mean, most of our mentors are markers in our APC program. So what they will do when they talk to you about a case that is not foreign, they're not going to talk to you at a high level, because they've seen the case study, they've marked particular tasks, and they can be like, let me see your script. No, this is what you're doing wrong, and that's why the marker gave you this feedback, and this is how you need to read it to make sure that you implement it. Let's put a plan together to continuously engage around this matter so that you develop it for the next case study. and consultation I've dealt with. Guys, those are the things that sets us apart. And I intentionally made a point to spend a lot of time on this slide so that I cover most of the things as Ere pushes to the next slide before I take questions. So in terms of timelines, I think you already got the gist of the timeline. In terms of the gist, April and May, we develop those professional competencies again. So first, beginning of April, we start the program, and all of you guys need to be registered by then. Do not wait to register by then. You don't want the program to close as well before you register, because by the beginning of April, when everyone starts, I want everyone to start. I do not want people to be like, oh, I'll get paid on the 15th and I'll register by then. You will be behind, and I don't want you to start on a back foot. I want us to sort out everything logistically during March and make sure that we are ready to hit the ground running, because when December comes, we need to all be confident and be walking into that exam hall with our heads held high to say, this is the last time we are doing this thing. So April, May, we are redeveloping those skills. May to June, we are demonstrating those skills using the previous Psycha case study. And then from July, I think I said from it's towards the end of June to October, end of October, we will be then doing the 3 case studies. Okay, so this is the point where I can then talk about the 2 programs that you see on our website when you are trying to register. It will say if you are a veteran in this, as in you've done this before, do you want to register for the APC repeaters course, or do you want to register for the APC case study package? And all of you must be saying, I want to register for the repeaters course. There will be a few handful that must go for the case study package. I'm going to explain the difference. The case study package is going to be those that are saying, no, I'm ready to actually, like I just missed that APC 2023 by a very small margin. Basically, I was a strong borderline candidate. It's just that the people at Psycha, when they were flipping the strong borderline candidates, they, instead of putting me into a competent candidate, they pulled me into an LC. Okay, meaning the only thing I need to refine is just exam technique, meaning I'm going to be parting from March all the way till June when people are redeveloping their skills, checking how this thing gets done. I'm going to be chilling and partying. I want to rest so that I only join in July or end of June when I'm doing when we're moving into the case study. Whereas the rest of us are saying there is a reason why I didn't make it in APC 2023. Okay, when I'm reflecting, there is a reason. There's certain things probably that I think I know, but I don't. So can I see how EPC do these things based on the timetable? Can I get redeveloped? Can I get Elton to come and redevelop my critical thinking skills? Can I get the language experts to do this? Can I get Rendani to demonstrate business acumen? How do I adapt? All these things that I spoke to you about. Can I get small practices weekly, daily, as we lead into July, so that when we come to the main case studies, I'm okay. I'm ready to hit the ground running with those case studies. And that's the full APC repeaters course. Ere, I'm not sure if I took your thunder on that point, because you usually have to deal with that part. Maybe let me pause here and see if there's any question, or Ere, you want to clarify anything else. I'm not seeing questions as well. Hands up. Any questions, guys? Area, you around as well? Oh, Sinotile? Sorry. Yeah, go for it, Sinotile.
Can you hear me? I just wanted to know the repeaters cost. How much is it?
Okay. Ere will be dealing with the costs shortly. Ere, is it the time
Thank
for you to
you.
come in, or do you want me to deal with something before we get into the costing and other logistical areas?
I will deal with the costs and the logistical areas. What? April to June. I think there is a question from Tandega, just trying, maybe just to further clarify. And I'm reading from the bottom. It says, what exactly is covered from April to June?
Oh, okay. So maybe just to explain, just give me a second. I'm trying to make sure my laptop doesn't die here. There we go. Right. So April, May, what we're saying is we are redeveloping those professional skills. We're having all those workshops that I spoke about. So we're talking about redeveloping critical thinking, business acumen, decision making, making sure we are an ethical leader. We are going to redevelop those skills and impart you with skills. So we're going to have lecture sections or contact sessions where we unpack those things with you and give you the tools to use and demonstrate with the use of examples. Then May to June, that's the demonstration phase. We use the previous Psycho case study to then show you exactly how it's done, how we identify triggers, how we research, how we demonstrate competence on the day, how we write, etc. All those things. That is sitting in both the development phase and the demonstration phase. That's your period April to June. That's what we do. Before we give you case studies in the 3 case studies, which will be from the end of June and July to November. Okay, Movin? Or who was it? Sorry, I'm not seeing the question on my side, Eric, but I used to see the question.
Just quickly checking through. I think, okay.
Yeah. The other question that I'm seeing is from Sheba, saying the script review conducted one-on-one is performed across all written assessments. That's correct. Across all written assessments. But I guess all written assessments, maybe just to clarify and how we distinguish them. So the APC 2023, that one we will call it a script review followed by one-on-one consultation because we are reviewing your script from SAICA. However, for the case studies and all our assessments, we just call it personalized feedback, where you're going to get a report with feedback for every task as to how you've performed, what you did well in the task, what you did not do well in the task, and the advice going forward, and including your outcome, and on an overall basis. And again, at the end of that, you can, once you get your results, even before, whilst you're marking yourself, you can ask for a consultation, a one-on-one consultation, which you will be afforded the opportunity to do that. Okay. Ayabulela?
Okay, yes, I have a number of questions. The script review process, like when will that take place? Because I think it's the first thing that I was planning on doing. Will that past like a case study be the you did mention that it won't be the 2023 one, but then yeah, that's my question. Like, when will that happen? Because I think the first thing I want to do is to just have someone go through my scripts with me and, have that feedback and that intense session there. And then another question. I had another question, but now I think
Maybe let me
my
respond to the first question whilst you're rethinking that second question. You don't have to go on mute. So I guess the script review is immediate, but obviously dependent on when SAICA releases those scripts. So as soon as SAICA releases the scripts, and in addition to that, you are a registered candidate, then you can start submitting those scripts, and then we start the process on our end to review and document the feedback in respect of the tasks that you didn't do well in. And then I think on our timetable, we will also demonstrate as to when then the one-on-one session will come through. So I guess all this is dependent mostly on when SAICA releases the scripts to you, and then you upload that script onto our portal. And which we expected to all be before we get into that May, June, when we're doing the demonstration phase. So by then, we probably, because we want you to reflect on last year, to know what's the learnings, what are the learnings and the development areas that we need to develop. And then so that when we develop them, you've got those things at the back of your mind, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And then, like, with the mini case studies that we're going to have, just want to get a feel of which assessments are going to be marked, like which case study solutions that we write or are going to be marked. Is it everything, or is it the ones in the assessment phase only?
So it's all. So all our assessment, including the developmental case studies, meaning the mini case studies, are all going to be marked, and you're going to get feedback in the same format. Okay. But what counts to your certificate? So this is the part maybe that I didn't mention. Remember, I said there is an APC repeaters course, which is a full program. That's April all the way to October, to the end of October. Then we've got the case study package. On the APC repeaters course, if you are successful in that, you get the certificate at the end of the year. And hence, it's so important for me as a repeater to really do this full program, just so that you get a full view of the program, and also you benefit from everything in it. And having said benefiting from everything in it, I also mean you take it as if you don't have a certificate. You really put your heart, your sweat, and effort into it as if you're fighting for that certificate. So because then when we recertify you at the end of the year, it also builds your confidence that, now I'm also again ready for SAICA. SAICA must come and I'll give it a big shot. Whereas on the case study package, even if you do well, we can't award you with a certificate because it's not a full program. Okay. Now, in terms of when you said feedback, where do I get feedback? Across all our case studies and assessments, you get feedback. However, for the purpose of the certification, only the 3 case studies, the full case studies, are the ones that counts towards the certificates. So I mentioned the baseline, which is the first case study. If you get a BC there, the second one is the final case study if you get a C. So think about a candidate that get a BC and then goes and get a C in the final. That candidate already qualifies for a certificate. But some candidates, which is also okay, start with an LC in the first one. Then they get a BC in the final. Okay, we send you to write the SAP. and then you get a sub, and you get a C, you get a certificate. So it can show a progression LC, BC, and SC. And then lastly, a candidate that gets a BC or a C and a C and gets a certificate, you can still write the last case study on the supplementary one as a voluntary sitting, and we'll still give you feedback just so that it's a good practice for you as well. Okay.
Okay, great. And then last question, will we have like venue sessions, like those kinds of classes, in contact classes at any point?
Yes. So there's certain classes that will be, so let me start by saying all our sessions will be accessible live online. That's number one. But there's certain sessions that will be hybrid, as in I will be with some of the students in our Midrand campus, those that can attend live. Sorry, that's not the right word. That can attend face to face, whereas everyone else is watching us on the live streaming. So it's a hybrid class. So some classes will be fully online and some will be hybrid.
Okay. The hybrid ones, would they be like on Saturdays or like during the week in the...
Okay. So most of our sessions are Saturday. So from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So that's, if you look at our timetable, most of our sessions are from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock on a Saturday. And then there are few in between that are on Tuesdays from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Not a lot, few of them. But the Tuesday ones, there are none that will be hybrid. So the hybrid ones will be generally the Saturday ones.
Okay, great.
Sense?
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you so much for all those clarifying questions. I've got a hand from, sure, Sudden, yes. Sudden? Sudden, are you on mute? We can't seem to hear you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that I'm on mute. All right, I just want clarity on whether the Zimbabwean candidates are eligible for script review, given that the tax provisions and the Campus Act provisions are not similar with the South African ones.
Okay. Thank you, Sudden. So absolutely. So the ICAS candidates, the Zim candidates, are eligible for a script review. But the one, because I guess all the other tasks except the tax will be the same. It's just the tax one that is different. So maybe let me check in the background with my team on the tax as to whether then what would we be doing around the tax. But you are eligible for a script review on all the other tasks. That's the immediate answer to that. But then I'll check for you on the tax, and then we'll let you know. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Adam, I think maybe because there are lots of questions, but I think some of the questions will be clarified by your slides, especially around the fees and some of the logistical issues. Do you mind? And guys, you don't have to lower your hand. Just you can keep your hands in and lower it as Eric addresses them. But I want Eric just to also address the key areas, and then we'll come back to all the questions. Is that fair, Eric? Or you want me to take all the questions now?
Evening, Ferry. Evening, everyone. is your picture. Can you hear me? Am I frozen?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. Thank you for confirming. Good evening once again. So I think some of the question, we've got this slide right here that I think will just clarify a couple of things just in relation to some of the questions that are coming. And I think it's always quite important to the point that Ede raised earlier about the different candidates that are on the call. And I think as is evident here, some of the questions will then be bulked up under, say, one category. So essentially, on this slide right here, you'll see that, yeah, in this particular session, I trust that we might have different candidates, the ones that are doing APC for the very first time. And I think even the rigor in the questions, it's quite evident. There are those that are then have attempted APC before, and there could potentially be CIMA members that are also looking to join the program. And we've got ICAS as well as ICANN candidates and also ACCA candidates. So maybe to start with the ICAS and ICANN, and just maybe to also clarify the current setup that exists between the three professional bodies, namely being SAICA, ICAS, and ICANN. So the current setup is that the exam in itself, in terms of the foundation, it's similar in nature. And what it means that in terms of the industry that one gets will be typically the same, and generally the issues that one has to deal with, meaning the task, one then will have similar setup. But what then differs between the three assessment and how the three professional bodies then tackle it? It's firstly the text part, as well as the governance part. So what we have then been seeing is that in that regard, for candidates that are then joining the program, from a repeating perspective, someone who's done APC before or a professional program and got a certificate, that setup works. It works because majority of the value it's linked to the structure of the APC and those foundational professional skills that Fede was talking about. Because as one will therefore admit is that one, if we're talking about business acumen, critical thinking, whether we're talking about about tax in Zim, tax in South Africa, tax in UK, tax in Australia, US, and so on, one will still need to apply those professional skills relating to critical thinking, communicating effectively. So then the value for those candidates that are having a certificate, whether it's ICANN, ICAS or SAICA, the value is traditionally the same. And historically, what we have done is that we've always then had a single program and a single set of assessment without it being amended or adjusted for the different professional bodies. But one of the things that might be different this year is that we've officially engaged with ICAS as the professional body in Zim to then offer a program to candidates that has now adapted the governance aspect as well as the tax aspects of it, meaning that then the program will enhance the value that the repeat candidates will then get, and it will also cater for first-time candidates that are based in Zim. So that conversation is ongoing, and it's just now at an administration level, meaning that a lot of the boxes we have ticked, and it's just a matter of formalizing it ahead of the 1st of April 2024, which is the week before the program is due to kick off. So for those that are falling under that bucket, it's either one wait and see kind of situation, or otherwise, if you are saying that I'm in and I want to join this program, that is also an option. And if for whatever reason, maybe things don't turn out the way that we had anticipated, then we have processes to just make sure that you still receive what you are looking for elsewhere rather than with us. So those are some of the things that are quite important, or noteworthy rather. And the most important thing is that, yeah, if and when that gets finalized, what will then be the implication? That will also start advising about how the assessments will then be working in that region. And mostly so, it will mean that we will be offering venue-based assessment for the main case study as we do in South Africa in order to fully deliver a program there. So all the questions about whether the assessments in Zim will then be happening on a venue basis, the answer is yes, provided everything is resolved accordingly. And if, as I'm saying, if things don't go our way, we'll then advise and take appropriate action. So that is just number one. And it therefore talks to also the last point about, say, ACC candidates. So from an ACC candidates and a ICA's perspective, ACC candidates, there is a gateway where they can also join what? They can join the APC. So that gateway is not available from a South African perspective. It's only available from an ICA's perspective. Someone once asked me that, can I go from South Africa, do with ACCA, write ICA's exam, come back, convert to SAICA, CASA? I don't know. So if you're one of those, it might be worth checking, but I don't think it's possible. I think that dispensation is only available to ACCA Zim candidates. But from our side, that is linked to the accreditation of the program by ICAS. So the same answer, therefore, applies for the ACCA candidates. And when it comes to the CIMA candidates, same thing, same in terms of there is a pathway for CIMA South Africa as well as CIMA Zim, but the CIMA Zim, it's with ICAS, and also it is linked to the pending accreditation, whereas from a South African perspective, it's linked to SAICA. And if you're in South Africa and you're a CIMA member, you can take advantage of that. And because there are some differences and just approach that we have already noted, we've made ourselves available. So if you are saying that I'm in this bucket and maybe my questions are not necessarily being addressed in this particular session, then we are available to then just chat with you on an individual basis, just to understand your journey, because that's quite important, and therefore advise you appropriately whether the program that will be starting in April will be suitable for you, or otherwise we can talk about the alternative CIMA to CA preparatory course. So that is on the CIMA candidates, because I think sometimes you look at a timetable and some of the things don't really make a lot of sense. And it's because maybe in the design, the program had traditionally considered the traditional route of CTA, ITC through to APC. But if you are finding that you are there and you just need more guidance, we are then available in order to just assist in terms of answering some of your questions, clarify, and provide you with the guidance and support that you need before you invest in a program of this nature. Then, when it comes to the repeat candidates, the ones that either set for APC 2023 or previous APC, what essentially then happens here is that we've got that main program that Fedi was talking about. And when we say it's the main program, it means that we assume that you are starting this journey from scratch. We are starting and saying that we want to issue you with a certificate at the end of the year, and therefore everything that we go through, we're going to be exposing you as if you've never seen it or heard it before. What it means we start all the way with saying, what does it mean when you say we are assessing professional competence and not technical competence? What does it mean to say this is the assessment of professional competence rather than initial test of technical competence? So we start there and we really build it up such that by the end of the day, when we say that you don't have or you have demonstrated quite a strong business acumen, you therefore are aligned with how we look at it and what we believe SICA also looks, how SICA, ICAS, and ICANN looks at it. So that is what the full program entails. And therefore, what it means that if you are coming from another program, or if you are doing it for the very first time, for us, we treat you the same way. It's just the additional benefit for someone who is or who's set for APC 2023. The benefit essentially is that we then throw in the script review for no additional cost. So we are saying that if you set for APC 2023, yes, we're going to treat you like a newly registered candidate, but we are going to help you with the script review for no additional cost. So that is the key aspect about the main program. But if for any reason you're saying that I've done these programs before, I am clear that my problem is X and I just want to deal with X, then you've got a couple of options. You can then say that X falls in, as Fedi was saying, our program has got 3 phases. You can say that X falls in phase number 1, the development phase, and you just want, therefore, this EPC case study package, which is the assessment package, plus that particular phase. So that is the flexibility with the what? With the case study package. So you are not in the full program, but you can, just like on a menu, you can say, I want this, I don't want this, I've got this already, so this I don't have. So you could say that I don't need mentorship, so there's no need for us to invest in mentorship support for you. You can say that I don't need private consultations, then we don't need to do that. But if you're saying that you know yourself, you want, say, personalized attention, you can then say, I'm in the case study package, but I'm going to also add unlimited consultations on my package, meaning that when I get my script and I need someone to talk to about that, just to give me some ideas on what I should be doing right now, then the unlimited consultation package will then help you to do that, where you can consult with myself, Dr. Elton, Asen, Fedi, and anyone else in the team that will then be involved in that particular process. So then it comes to the question of what will I be doing from, say, now, if I register now, all the way until the main case study starts. So one, if you're in the main program, you're gonna get the CTA videos, and come April, you're gonna start. And if you get your script earlier and you're in the main program, you already have the benefits of unlimited private consultation. You can start consulting on those and undertaking a private consultation. And if you are in the EPC case study package, you can also then say that, oh, I'm starting later, but if I register now, what will I get? We'll then also give you the CTA video, but you will not get into the main program. But if you're saying that I want to get into the main program, can I just get this phase? That will also be a possibility. So there's quite a lot of flexibility, but it's quite important to understand what, therefore, you are getting and what you are not getting. And in some instances, it might then require you to just invest a little bit of time in terms of, say, the brochure that we've put online, as well as the website details, so that you can fully understand what you need and whether it's well catered for. But for us, we believe that the value that is in the main program is quite significant. And if you are saying, I need that kind of assistance, mentorship, private consultation, the development classes, the mini case studies, the script review, then the main program, it's advisable in that regard. And as I'm saying, that from then a first-time candidate, it's everything except the script review. So that's what I just wanted to clarify, because I think it will address quite a lot of content questions that are coming just regarding how everything then looks like. So I hope that's clear. And also, if you were with us in 2023, we then have a rebate that we give you, depending on what you were registered for last year. So, like for instance, if you're in the APC case study package, we give you the script review for free. If you were in the main program, whether it's first time or a repeat candidate, 40% of the fees that you paid last year, you get them as a discount in this year's program. So there is then a break for candidates that were with us, but it's only applicable for those candidates, not necessarily someone coming from a different program. So maybe let me take the two questions. Hand number one, it's coming from William. Please, William, go for it.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Perfectly so.
Thanks, Eloani. I think mine was just to ask a question on what Mr. Mukete was saying, especially on those three assessments, the baseline and the other ones where we'll be eligible for a certificate. So my question was writing these assessments, because I took a sneak shot at the timetable. It's like it's a full 6-day assessment, right? So my question was, is this going to be a venue-based assessment on the 6th day when you are writing for that 8-hour session? And also, are we getting exposure to the e-writing software that we'll be using for the final APC, just to also, just to like anticipate like how to like be flexible working on the software, and also potential issues that on the day when they arise, how to mitigate that to alleviate some anxiety in terms of dealing with the software. So I think, those are my two questions, but thanks for the presentation. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for that, William. And I think you've raised a very important point there. So to answer your first question, so recently we've really been seeing quite a lot of anxiety relating to the software. And one of the things that we're going to be doing for the very first time this year is that in the mini case study, we are going to expose candidates that are in the main program to the software. Because sometimes we found that we only expose them when they are writing the first case study, and already there the stakes are a little high and the anxiety is starting to pick up. So now this year, what we've then done is that we've arranged with SAICA to say our assessments now include the mini case study. So they're going to coordinate for us and set up the software so that that mini case study that Mr. Mkiti was talking about, it's going to be covered, or we're going to be using the assessment, the software. But what will be different from the mini case study and the main assessment is that the mini will now be facilitated only at our campus if you want venue-based, and the rest of the cohorts will then be sitting for it on a non-venue basis or online basis. Then come the baseline assessment. The baseline assessment, now we are saying we are in APC mode. So whether you will be in Zim, whether you'll be in South Africa, we'll then apply our criteria of saying that a minimum of 10, we then are mindful that we need to look at what? We need to look at coordinating a venue assessment. So when that threshold is reached, then we're going to be treating that area or going to be facilitating a venue-based assessment for that. And I think related to Walter's point, in some cases, we then prefer to use the venues that will then be used for the actual APC, so that even if you stay far, we will then want you to come and sit for the case study, because we want you to now start getting used to the travel. We want you to get used to the planning around it and so on. So that is then the plan for 2024 going forward. Firstly, exposure much earlier than the main case study assessment of the software, mini case study online and only facilitated on a venue basis at our campus, and main case studies, all of them are venue based, except for instances where our criteria will not be met. And in case you're wondering, so when will I know? So the idea is that we have to close the registration of the program so that we can tally the numbers and start engaging with our venues. And once the venues there, once we get there, we expect that this process will be concluded by the 31st of May. So about a full month before you sit for your first baseline assessment case study. So that is then the idea around the administration of the case study right there. Got it, William?
Oh, fully answered. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. Steminkosi, good evening.
Good evening. I hope you guys are well. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. We are
All
well,
right.
thank you.
I think for me, it's just like clarity. I just need help. Maybe you probably mentioned it, but I didn't fully
Sure.
understand. So my question is, like, when you're in another board course, right, and then you're joining in Dunamo this year. So what happens when you got like a certificate in the other board course? Like, how does that play out? I understand that, you know, there are two, you spoke about the different kinds of programs or packages that you can choose. So let's take like you wanna go into this like on a clean slate, right? But you still have the certificate. How do you guys deal with that? Because I think, you know, starting in April will probably be advantageous, even though you're coming from another program, because you're trying to develop. And since you're not sure where exactly was the problem, so you want to see everything through. So I want to understand, like, how does that play out? I hope my question is clear.
Yeah, and you let me know if I didn't get you. So firstly, for us, it has to start with you to say, what do you want? Because from our side, we know what we want, but now it's a matter of what do you want? And the idea there is just, for me, if you then say, I'm starting, and as you rightly put it, you want to start on a clean slate, meaning that you are going to treat this program as if you don't have a certificate. For me, that's the most ideal attitude, because it will make you commit to your group engagements, make you commit to the program, make you commit to your own development. You will really have that mentality of ownership. So that is, for me, first priority. And another reason why I say this is because we have often found some of our first-time candidates getting frustrated, saying that I'm with some of the repeating guys. When we have meeting, they just miss it. You can see that they are not serious because they already have a certificate. So I will not want someone to be talking about you that way. So I'll want you for them to be surprised, maybe later on, to say that, oh, we didn't know that Steminkosi had a certificate to begin with. The way that she was committed to the program, the learning development, is that kind of what attitude that we want. But if for any other reason you are then saying that, oh, either it's financial, whether it's time commitment, you cannot really do that. When it comes then to those case study assessments later on, we will want you to still commit as much and say that there are 3 assessments. I want to give them all my very best. And when it comes to preparation, when it comes to taking leave, when it comes to attempt, I don't want you to then have that attitude that I have a certificate. So yes, having a certificate is always good to fall on. But we will want you to then be as committed and say you want this as if you don't have it and you need it to write the final or the actual APC come the end of the year. So that is what, that's what I'll really encourage you to do. And starting on a clean slate, that will be my first preference in that regard.
Okay, you absolutely
Sure.
answered my question, right? But I think just
Yes.
to follow up on that,
Yes.
does this mean that, now we're gonna get like another certificate for the final exam? Or because like I'm not trying to say that, you know what, because I have a
Yeah.
certificate, I will not work hard because I want this for myself, right? So it means that I'll have to come through, put in the effort and everything. But like my question is like, will we get like another certificate for us to like what do you call this, use for the final exam? Or like we can still use like our old certificates?
We will want you to represent the brand. So once we give you the certificate, we'll want you to tell your professional body that now I'm with APC. I've changed camps. So represent when you get there. So the idea is that, once you get it and we send the list to SAICA, then they load you as our candidate, meaning that when they report the stats, then you will be part of our camp. So that's the idea right there. And when we give you the certificate, the certificate, then it's valid for 3 years once more. So that's always first preference for us.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Lebogile?
Hope everyone's well. I just wanted to find out the difference because I'm hearing we're speaking about the mini case study, and then there's also the baseline case study.
Yes.
It sounds, I'm understanding there's a difference there, but what is the difference? And then so we don't have then this, it merges, so we don't have weekly tasks. I'm seeing in the chat somebody raised it. We don't have the weekly tasks. So in terms of making sure that on a weekly basis we're doing something, is it then that mini case study that we submit? I'm just not really sure between the two. And then also the leave that comes with the June assessment. Because my understanding is a lot of the firms, they don't supply leave, or leave doesn't really apply for that June assessment because they consider it a mock and it's not necessarily a final for the program, right? So how do we work around that?
All right. So one, in terms of just how one then engages with the program. So first of all, as Fedi was saying, that they are the workshops that we have planned out. So the way that it works is that firstly, he will be the one that takes you through to say, thinking about a responsible business leader, how does that look like? How does a professional, a competent professional accountant looks like? Then he will then introduce you to the professional skills that we'll be developing in the program, which is business acumen, critical thinking, and so on. So then what he will then do is that we then, as the senior team, I will then be allocated, say, business acumen. So say after week 1, you now are sitting with that case study that that we said it's a past SAICA case study. You'll now be sitting with it. But you will know that in a week or 2 weeks' time, you are now going to have Rendani covering a business acumen. And you will also have what we call a face note. A face note now gives you the technical guidance on what you need to do ahead of the next class. So it could then say from a technical perspective, you then need to be researching on this case study. You then need to be undertaking an industry overview. You need to be undertaking a risk analysis in preparation for the next class. So that will be like your to-do in between. Then what happens is that we then get to that workshop. Then we will work through what we then consider to be the ideal way of what we then expected you to do with that particular task we had given. Then now there will be a critical thinking session where now we'll then say, okay, the case that we've given you has got 4 tasks. When we talk about critical thinking, you need to look at task number A. So that will then be your task. But the way that we look at it is that we are mindful that we don't want to get into the task detail, but rather we want to focus on building the transferable skills, the skills that you can take from one case study to the other. So that will then be the idea. So when you look at the timetable, you'll then see that there will be a business acumen session, there will then be a critical thinking session, there will be a technical session, there will be an ethics session, then there will be a communication session. So we will always then be dealing with it in the context of a case study that you then have. Then afterwards, we are then saying, we have now walked you through this journey. Then the remainder of the case study, you are going to sit for it. As if what? As if it's an official case study. So you are going to present yourself, but not on a Wednesday over the weekend. You are going to then sit and apply all those things that will have then covered in the preceding weeks. And you will then submit that assessment. We will mark it and give you feedback on those professional skills. So we'll give you feedback, detailed feedback on business acumen, ethical leadership, critical thinking, technical knowledge, your ability to communicate effectively, and so on. So it's like now your first sense of, am I there? And because the feedback is detailed for each and every task, we are telling you, what is it that you did well? What is it that you didn't do well? What is it that we believe you should be doing to address the negative feedback? So that is then the mini case study. That is its objective, to get that independent feedback on where you are, but comprehensive enough and with quite a lot of support behind it. So that's number one. Then to your other question is that we've worked with a number of firms already, and we do advise them, and some of them have already been advised of our assessments during the year. And we've already indicated that based on the assessments in our program, these are the number of case studies that the number of leave days that we'll expect the candidates to have. And then the idea is that they tell us that it has to go through the approval process with their managers, partners, and so on. But we've generally found that most of them are very accommodating. So and we do understand that in some cases, it could be that the firm is accommodating, but the team you are in has got pressing deadlines, and therefore it becomes that kind of a tricky situation. But ideally, we've already advised, most of the big four, we've already advised them. We've already also advised where now we have found that there are corporate relationships in place, just to tell them about the assessments. And even one of the things that we've done this year compared to last year, which some of them have already welcomed, is that previously we used to have 3 case study plus 1 supplementary assessment, which is 4. But this year we only have 3 assessment, which is something that they've already welcomed. So we are hoping that if they were accommodating for 4 case studies, now it will be a little bit lighter with the 3 case studies. So those are some of the things that we are currently sitting with right now.
Okay, thank you. Just one more question. In terms of the formation of the groups, I don't know on the program what your advisable number of group members is, etc., etc. That will then get discussed in another session.
Yes, it will. It will. But if you get to more than 6, we are worried.
All right,
But
thank
yeah,
you.
sure. Ayanda?
Hello.
Evening.
Evening, everyone. I have two questions, but I think the first question you were able to unpack what I needed clarity on. That was with respect to exam technique. Just to get an understanding, what was the take for the board course to provide in that aspect, for the purpose of our learning and developing ourselves. But I also like to find out whether do you guys provide sessions where you look beyond just candidates just delving through the task and answering the task in terms of them, how do they structure their time management and their planning and so forth? And also, do you provide guidance on which tasks mainly are usually asked, and which tasks that candidates should really pay attention to when they actually responding to tasks, when we having these assessments, which includes, all our technical tasks and our ethics and our file compilation. I just want to get an understanding, what is your thought process regarding that? And also, do you offer such sessions? Because I feel like as candidates, it's some things that we underlook. And I know for myself for a fact that on the day when I have to, respond to tasks, I spend much of my time in certain technical tasks, and I'm a little bit not too sharp on my ethics ever since CTA. So I just want to have an understanding, what is your thought and your process and your support which relates to that?
Thank you, Ayanda. Such a comprehensive question. I would lie if I can say it can be just summarized in a few minutes, but let me give it a shot. But we'll then get to expand more on it once the program is kicked off. But essentially what we have, which is very unique about ourselves, is we have what we call the APC 9-point competency framework. So when we set tasks, we keep that in mind. When we mark your tasks, when we review your scripts, when we give you feedback, when we come to class, we then keep that in mind. So what does the 9-point competency framework look like? It says that when we are assessing professional competence, we are looking for integrated thinking. And integrated thinking requires that a candidate brings 1, their technical knowledge, 2, business acumen, that task needs to be answered or responded to within context. And in CTITC, we say you cannot dump and pass. So that is context. Number 3, we want you to be present enough in the case study and apply what Feli was talking about when you say you are questioning the information we're giving you, which is critical thinking. Then 4, we are saying that because the APC, you've got the pre-release and you then have the IOD, it is not always clear, given the pre-release, what you're going to get in the IOD. And therefore, when you get the IOD, you need to be present enough to be able to tackle with what has been given, which brings us to competency number 4, the ability to adapt to changes on the day. Then number 5 is that when you are responding to the task, you need to do so obviously in English. Then number 2, you need to be clear and avoid what storytelling that's unnecessary. Avoid using too much word, avoid not getting to the point quicker. In other words, you need to be concise, clear, and logical in your approach. Number 5. Then number 6, we also consider time management. When we look at your response, does it reveal that there was good time management? In other words, is it too long? Because sometimes when we are sitting, I can look at your task A and I know that it will be very difficult for you to get a C here. Because a task that we had designed for you to spend an hour, you have 10 pages on it. We cannot rationalize how someone can type 10 pages in an hour. So that's time management. Then the next one, it is what? It is your ability to apply your research, because there are some tasks that will not necessarily be either technical driven, or they might be technical, but this is something that you didn't cover in CT or ITC. And we are then saying that we are looking, like for instance, last year, what did we have? Yeah, last year, yeah, so we will often then consider something that is topical and we incorporate it. So we then assess your ability to do it, to undertake good research and come and apply it on the day without it being dumped. And then the other thing that we look at and consider, we then consider whether you are able to demonstrate ethical leadership. So that's our competency framework. So we are saying that every marker, every reviewer of your script, and every team leader will be trained very hard on that, and they will adopt it. So what we then do is that each and every line in your script that you write, we give you feedback on it. And we are giving you feedback on that 9-point competency, where we are saying that we like this, Ayanda, and we're going to give you indicator A1.2. We didn't like this because 1, 2, 3. We didn't like this because 3, 4, 5. Then after we are done with what we like and what we didn't like, we then help you to say what we didn't like, what does it talk to? Does it talk to the lack of your technical competence? And what we liked, does it talk to your ethical leadership? So exam technique is embedded in the design of the program and in everything that we do. So you will always be in tune, whether you are in class, whether you are reviewing your assessment, whether you are reviewing your script, whether you're doing the mini case study, we are there. So that is how that process actually works.
Thank you so much for that. I think you did clarify most of the loopholes that I had in terms of understanding that process. And my last question that I'd like to get an understanding on, it's on one of the add-ons of which I think I'm much more interested in terms of the full program. It's the mentorship support,
Yes.
because I think some of us, okay, in my journey last year,
Yeah.
I did lack a bit of mentorship, which was, I don't think it was a very good decision to not have a mentor. So I just want to understand the structure of, with the timeframes, the consultations, and the sessions. How does that go about with me being in the program? Obviously, I would have to attend classes. I would have assessment sessions, and then the mentorship discussions. How do you fit that in terms of the scope of work that we all have to do? So I just want to gather an understanding on that as well. And that will be my last question.
All right, fair enough. Thank you for that, Ayanda. So for us, mentorship, we also do it a bit differently. So we integrate it into the program. So how does that look like? So what we then have, we've got what we call mentors notes. So it's like a face note but it's now to support the mentors. So the mentors are kept up to date on what is happening in the program. So they know when you're going to write an assessment, then they know what you covered in class. They know how you did in general, and they also get access to your results. Why? Because we want it to be very personalized. We don't want you to come here and we are telling you one thing. You go to your mentors and they're telling you another thing, and it then appears to be double the work or double the effort. But the idea is that we have really then aimed to align our mentorship and integrate it into the program. And it's not just a one-way kind of exercise. The mentors also get to contribute in the program, because when we catch up with them, they will tell us that I've got my mentee. My mentee says that they are struggling. My mentee says that they are so on. And that's the changes that we have implemented in the program this year are mostly coming from our previous candidates, as well as our mentors, where they've then come and said that, sure, our candidates are finding it a little bit difficult to do the reflection. Because as you just rightly said, Ayanda, you then said you're coming from an assessment, then you have to do this, do that, and how do you fit in the time for mentorship? That was one of the feedback that we got when we then said, yeah, maybe it is not ideal to then have 4 case studies, because it's really now undermining what we are trying to do with the case study. Yes, it's good practice and so on, but where do you get the time to do all those things that we're talking about? Engage with your mentor, get to do private consultation. And that's why Fedi was emphasizing that the case studies are about a month apart from each other, so that you have more than enough time to do all those things without necessarily trying to squeeze them under a very limited short period of time. So that's the approach that we take with our mentorship, to integrate it and align it with the program, so that you do what? So that you get to not do double the work. And at any point, if you then say, Rendani, you told me this about my mentor is not playing ball, you then have our chief caretaker who you can connect with, and they will then Did you get that, Ayanda?
Sorry, I had a disconnection issue somewhere. Yes, I did. Thank you so much. That was very soundful. Just a follow-up question. Do we get an opportunity to appoint our own mentors, or the program provide mentors for us?
So when you say own mentor, you mean like
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
know
No, like,
someone, yeah.
yeah, like someone like that. Like maybe he's not affiliated with the program. Like I'm not sure how does that work.
Yeah, and what we normally do is that if, say, you've got someone at work or someone that you've already worked with, maybe even outside work, and you want them to continue to support you, we always encourage you to bring them into the program, so that that alignment that I was talking about can be
Okay.
achieved.
All right.
So we've had a number of cases like that, and we've been more than happy to accommodate, because sometimes you could have a good mentor, but if they don't understand the program and where you are here, it then feels like double the work, and we don't want you to feel like that.
Okay, no, thank you so much, Elelwani. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Devinzo, am I saying it right?
Yes, you said it right. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Fine, thanks. I wanted to ask, as an ICAS student, I want to start on a clean slate and with the objective of getting a certificate as the program goes by. Will I not be disadvantaged on tasks when you are marking, when we are researching? How then do we go about our responses and the overall grading per assessment, will it not be affected by the tax issues?
Yeah, so okay, got that. So the terms of the accreditation application we put through to ICAS is that once we get accredited, we will then be offering a full program. So we will then adopt the structure that ICAS has with SAICA, that the case study will be developed from a South African perspective, and it will then be localized from a context as well as from a solution and the grading. So we already have markers and we've got people that we are talking to in order to support our efforts in that regard. So the moment we get that green light, then you don't need to be worried about that at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's fine. Then maybe
Yes.
can you speak to your pass rates over the years while offering this program?
So specifically, yes, maybe because it's always a big picture. You're looking for just overall over the years.
Overall for the SAICA exam.
Okay, so overall for the SAICA exam, we have proudly always performed higher than the national pass rate, and over the years, in the current year, our pass rate is sitting at 56%, and when it comes to the national average, it was 52. Last year, we were sitting at about 62%, just above the national average of 58%. Then the other year, it was about 76%, above the average of the national average of 72. So that's where overall we've been sitting. So, and as you can imagine, when we see the pass rate declining for us, it does concern us a bit. And one of the things that I was explaining to Ayanda and some of the changes that we've put in this year, we are really hoping that it will add significant value to you. And then together, we will be able to lift it back up and do extremely well.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm answered. Thank you.
But thank you so much. Rachel, hi. Rachel, just to make sure you can hear me. I see you on top of the list. There we go. Yeah. I see your mic is open now. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes. Now I can. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. I just want to find out, I think you've already touched on this, but I just need clarity. There was
Yes.
a question asked on localizing the ICAS and ICAN exams. I think you responded clearly to it with regard to ICAS, but I just need clarity on how you treat ICAN. I know the ICAN, the Namibian text is not very much different from the South African text, but
Yeah.
I just want to understand, because you did mention that you have you have some measures in place or some process in place that you carry out to ensure just to cover that. So I just want to understand, what is it that you do in that regard?
So this is in regard of ICAN, just to confirm, Rachel?
Yes, ICAN.
Yes. All right. Yeah. So from an ICAN perspective, right now, we don't do any localization. So currently, as it stands, so the ICAN candidates write exactly the same case study that we prepare for our South African courts. And I think for us, it was that particular decision, because I remember from an ITC perspective, ITC was exactly the same, and it was also marked in South Africa. And I think from that particular perspective, we've then just taken that view and taken that position. So currently, no localization is done. So what then happens is that once you are in the program, if in a case study there is a text task, you then have two options there. You can attempt it using the South African legislation, but what it means that we'll use the South African marking grid entirely to evaluate your competence in the task. That's option one. Option two, you then skip the task altogether, and by virtue that you are an ICANN candidate and there's just fundamental differences. And if then that is the case, we then mark it as non-evaluated, it's not evaluated, NE. So we've got a special indication for it. So the way that we then evaluate it overall is that if you attempt it, when we evaluate your competence, we're going to use the South African Strawman or profile to say that we wanted 3 C's and you attempted the text task and maybe it didn't go so well because of one reason or the other. And we're going to just treat it like any other LC that, say, a South African candidate will have gotten, say, in audit, accounting, or management accounting, a related task. Or otherwise, if it's an NE, in other words, it's not evaluated, then when we assess your attempt, we're going to assess it taking into consideration that if it's a 7-task case study, you only wrote 6. If it's an 8-task case study, you only wrote 7. So that is then the adjustment that we then make in order to then say, oh, okay, for this case study, you did well, and it's a C after taking that adjustment into account. So that is the kind of process that we now have with regards to ICANN.
Okay, so does it then mean that it's entirely up to me to make sure that I prepare for the Namibian tax?
Yes, as it stands, unfortunately.
Okay, and then the other question that I have is with regard to the venue based. I know that you did mention that it all depends on the numbers and minimum at least 10. I think I'm not too sure whether from experience you had enough numbers from Namibia to qualify for a venue exam, and have you had any venue based exams in Namibia, or has the number always been very low? Just so that I have an idea of what I'm getting myself into, should I choose to go for EPC.
And perfectly fair. I understand where you're coming from, and fair enough. So thank you for that. So to be honest, from a Namibian perspective, we've not reached that threshold, and we've never had to then facilitate the case study on a venue basis or consider it that way. So currently, I think the most we've gotten to, I think it was about 8 ICANN candidates, if I'm not mistaken. That's the most that we have reached so far. So that has never been a consideration based on our criteria.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you so much.
Okay.
Ricky, hi.
Hi. I just have 2 quick questions. If you were with APT board course last year and you failed your APC and would like to enroll on the full course now for Endunamo, and let's say you don't make the course, does that invalidate your ticket to write APC? And
no,
then,
it does not. Okay, sure. Okay, go for it.
The second question, I know you touched on it earlier. Just the weightings. What is required to pass the course? What is the weighting of the tests? Perhaps you can give me a high level answer in that one as well. That will be all. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Ricky. So quick one to the first one. So no, so any certificate that you had, if you got it last year, it means that it still has 2 attempts in it. If you got it the other year, it will mean that this year it's the last attempt on that certificate. So the outcome that you then get within the program does not invalidate any certificate that you had before. What it just means, it means that we will not update your records with SAICA in terms of a new certificate. So that's number one. Number two, in terms of the weighting, so there is the baseline case study as well as the final case study. So the final case study has got a greater weighting. What does that mean? It means that you will be expected to get a C in the final case study before we start having the conversation around the certificate. So what it means that come the baseline, you can get a BC and go and get a C in the final, then you are eligible for the certificate. If you then get, say, an LC and a BC, an LC on the baseline, and you improve on the final and you get a BC, we'll then ask that you write the supplementary just to solidify that particular outcome. And also similarly, if you then say you get a C and you get an LC, so we've got a number of permutations that we have in our criteria for the award of the certificate. So if you are saying that, guys, I want to see that before I join the program, then when you engage with any of us, we can really just give you how that looks like. But to simplify it is that on the final case study, we want a C. If you don't get it in the final case study, you will be required to sit for a supplementary, and in the supplementary, you have to get a C. So C, it's the safest outcome in the final case studies. Make sense, Ricky?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So I think I've attempted. Wait, is that a new hand? I thought I'm done with the hands. Is that a new hand, or am I mistaken?
Yes,
Oh.
yes, and that is a new hand.
All right, sure.
Yeah,
You're done.
compliment, boss.
Sure, compliment.
No, man, it's good to hear from you, my leader. No, man, it's just a quickly question. Rendani, is it possible, probably all our assessment, maybe to arrange to be taken over the weekend? Maybe only the last one final that we can make it during the week, given that, we're coming from, we are in MFMA now, PFMA, I mean to say, which is
Yes.
going to be a very deadline driven as well, push time. Of which I'm thinking if we maybe can be flex when it comes to weekend, I think one can even take a leave. Let's say if you take from Thursday, Friday, then Saturday, you work, you are writing, rather than be on Wednesday. Now you are forced to take a leave from Monday, Tuesday. So Wednesday, that's going to be a challenging also. I don't know. Can you play around on that? Give it a shot to accommodate people that you maybe can divide into the group that one can work right on Saturday, they can reach the number. I'm just thinking if that.
Okay, so yeah, so well received. I thought we had done so, but yeah, but the bosses are here, so you are talking to the bosses, as Ed was saying. Fedi, just if you can jump in. I'm trying to look at the timetable for the timetable, but otherwise, it's yeah. So the feedback is well received. I remember that was something that we had before, and I thought it was there, but yeah, let me just double check. But the big boss is here, Fedi.
All the tough ones to me. Yeah, actually, I think it was well thought out in the sense of, I guess we're trying to mirror the SAICA APC. So we want you to have an exactly similar experience as to what you would experience at SAICA. And then, which gives me an opportunity now to also then address the challenges of work commitments. And I think for me, my biggest advice will be when it comes to those three assessments. Well, I guess starting with the first two, you have to be selfish. So I would be concerned if there is a pre-release out there on a Friday and we've got candidates trying to juggle work and the case study assessment. So for me, really plan it ahead now, negotiate with your superiors to say, listen, if there's going to be time in my life that I will not be working, it will be that Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 times a year, and that will be it. I don't mind working overtime. Push now, work all those overtimes and pushing weekends, etc. when it's needed. But when the case study's out, you've got to give it your best shot with no distraction to actually mimic exactly what's going to happen in December when you're attempting the SAICA case study. We don't want to go to SAICA case study, which I guess me and my fellow bosses are not going to send you to SAICA unless you've got an existing certificate when you are trying to juggle the two and you gave it a half attempt, if I could call it a half attempt, because it will really show in the results that here we juggled. And when we juggle balls, one is about to be dropped. And unfortunately, it's usually the APC that cracks rather than a work. Because I think we work as a team, and yes, even if we sign our audits as late as possible, but we usually make the deadline. That's all I'll say, Brandani. Thanks.
I'm added tonight. Yeah, it seems the questions have been addressed, and the others I see that from the chat are also addressed. So just to wrap up, so this we have spoken in detail just to talk about the difference. I hope everyone now is clear. Then in addition, we've got this right here, which now is just some of the general aspects. Some of them we've already gotten to touch up on. And I think firstly, it's just around the tuition. So the tuition for the program. So as we said, the APC case study package, it's 7,500. And if you then want anything else, then you do it. Then you have the option to add it. If you are or you were with us last year, the fees that you paid to us, 40%, will then be deducted as a rebate in the current year's tuition fees. We also accept employer arrangements, which means that if your employer is on our database and worked with them before, you can just ask them to confirm that they will be paying for you. But if you're from KPMG and EY, you just need to drop us an email and say, I'm from KPMG, see my email address. Then we'll believe and we'll activate your account immediately. Then if you are from EY, the same arrangement then applies. So you don't need to check in with the likes of Louise or Sericia to confirm if they will be paying. So we've got a standing arrangement with them. So in terms of the likes of AG, we also have an arrangement with them, but what just complicates that arrangement is that there are different BUs, that yes, you can be in Pretoria, but you could be under National A and so on, and how the budgets are run. It requires that they then confirm that individually, because we understand there's an internal bursary application or loan application process that one needs to follow. So as much as they will be paying, we just want them to validate that all due process internally has been signed off, and they will then be paying for you. So we still require, if you're from AG, for them to just confirm, and will also treat you as a registered candidate. And in terms of Tutuka, generally it's something that we see SAICAM and FACET coming together to really support the candidates that need the support financially, as well as part of their transformation agenda. So that, as we stand, we've not received any confirmation of its availability or otherwise of the magnitude of the support that they'll be giving. So we will then advise that you then do what? You then always assume that nothing will be forthcoming, because even if it comes, there's always that excitement that here, yes, now I had planned to pay the full tuition of 15,500 for the program, and now they are going to cover, say, 5, they're going to cover 10. So it's something that I'll then just say, just to be cautious, then do what? Just to be cautious, a budget for the full amount, and if something is forthcoming, then we'll advise and we'll tell you about the process that they've put in for this particular year. So that is just on the tuition side. So we also, to simplify life, got a subscription credit card payment process, which you can then just subscribe to. And what it will therefore mean, it will mean that you can just load your credit card on our PayFast or Yoko system, and come end of the month, you can either just confirm the details, or it will take automatically, and there will not be any conversation from our side or from your side. It will then just help you with that. Then Fedi has already addressed the blended learning program, that yes, there will be some classes that are purely online and some that are on a hybrid basis. And one of the things that maybe just to also clarify is that come exam time, you can come at the venue. You can find us there sometimes. We can catch up. We generally have juices and some coffees there. So we would love to have you. If you just want to come and engage with your mentor, with your team, we can always arrange a room and you can come and have some discussions right there. It gets quite interesting and lively, so it will be good to get to meet some of you. And in some of the classes that we're talking about from a hybrid perspective, it's always good to then get to meet the kind of people that you might be thinking of partnering with throughout the year. So those are some of the things that we just want and are looking forward to in the 2024 academic year. Mentorship, to Ayanda's question, we have really then gone into detail into how it works. The assessment structure, one of the things that Freddy mentioned is just about engaging with your managers. And what we then do to support that, just after April, we then start giving you what we call leave letters that just confirms the details of the assessments, confirms your registration, and you can use that to support your leave when you apply. But as I'm saying, we've already advised many of the firms already, and we are hoping that there will be there will be no difficulty with regards to securing the leave. And on Dana's question or point, we do understand that PFMA can sometimes be on steroids. So hopefully things will be better this year. So departments will submit on time, you guys will do the work on time, and no late nights, right? We are crossing our fingers. Then with regards to the case study threshold, we will then do it. We will then still apply the criteria of 10 candidates as noted there. We've got an eligibility criteria. It's available when you register. Come the first session, we then go through that in detail. You've got an opportunity to appeal if you are not happy with any of the outcome, and the team will diligently look at it and give you appropriate feedback. Then one of the things that we really pride ourselves with is that we are a very personalized program. So you will always have someone bothering you, checking up on you. So what it means that if we don't see you in the consultations, we will want to know why are you not consulting. And the only time we accept no consultation is if either you get everything C's or you get an HC. We will then exempt you from what? From consultations. But if you are not there, then we want to see you in the consultations. We want to see you in the classes. We want to see you with a mentor so that you really come out victorious at the end of this journey. So we've got a team of caretakers. We've got now what we call a my personal folder experience, where everything concerning you sits on a folder. And that will be your assessments, that will be your profile, that will be your mentor, that will be anything that bears your name. And one of the things that you'll then get a welcome letter with your name and just unpacking what to expect from the program. So this my personal folder is something that we've launched for this year, very exciting, and we are looking forward to really delivering even a more enhanced personal experience. In addition, we've got to upgrade our WhatsApp community. In the WhatsApp community now, we've got the different groups. One of the feedback that we got last year is that there was a little bit too much clutter with first time SEMA and other candidates then just mingling in one group. So we've created a mingling one group, and we've then also separated the groups to first timer, SEMA, business acumen, critical thinking, APC repeating candidates, so that you can be in the group where you can talk the same language and we can better support you. So a very, very much more personalized experience. And one of the things that we've also done is also with regards to just the feedback report. So we are very excited about the new feedback report that we've developed, and we were just thinking about you and the value that it will add. So it's very personalized. It's really just touching on how you can administer the feedback and how you can engage with it, and where to from there once you've received it. Because it's exactly that. It's supposed to be feedback that helps you to grow, rather than to say, no, you are not writing APC this year or not. It's just a matter of, it's a developmental and personalized document. So all these things we are very excited about, and we are hoping that it will really cement what we really stand for in terms of just looking after you as our priority stakeholder. Then registration closes strictly on the 30th of April. So this year, what we've done to also reduce the admin is that after it closes, a lot of the admin process is going to kick in. One of the feedback was our program was a little bit admin intensive, And it was because we're dealing with so many things over an extended period of time. There was mentorship enrollment, there was tutor application, there was case study administration. So what we're going to do this year is that immediately after the registration closes, we then start kicking off all these things, and we then accelerate it, fast track it in a period of say 2 to 3 weeks, and it's done. So after 2 to 3 weeks, you know that you're going to be getting a mentor, you know that you're going to be getting your tutor car funding if it's applicable, you know where you're going to be sitting for your assessment, you know. So the administration, we are very, very excited that it is going to be top notch, just for you to worry about less things in the program. So that is something that we are also looking forward to, and that's why we're going to be very strict on the registration closing date. When it comes to the APC case study, we're going to close that a little bit later, around the 15th of June. That's when we close it, just about 2 to 3 weeks before the first assessment, so that there's an opportunity for you to do the psych administration, validate the exam, do the validation exams, and so on. But all compact and around the same area, same timelines, so that you can really benefit. The welcome letter I spoke to you about has got very interesting content, including your student number that you're going to be getting, your Endunamo email, as well as the WhatsApp links. So these are some of the general information about the program that we just wanted you to be mindful of. But the welcome letter clarifies everything. But if there's anything that you want to clarify before we kick off, the caretakers are there. We are also there. We are more than happy to chat with you and make sure that you are clear and understanding how you're going to receive support from us in 2024. So that is all from our side with regards to what we had thought tonight. Any last remarks, questions before we call it an evening? Tembingosi? Thank you, Ayanda. I see your hand is please. Hi.
Yeah, I wanted to ask with regards to, like, you know, when it comes to, let's take like you get a buzzer of some sort, right, to Tuka wise. But I mean, you did say that you need to assume that you're gonna pay everything. So
Yeah.
in that case where you've started paying and all of that, like how will that work out? Let's take like you've paid like almost all of the amount or the whole amount, and then like a bursary kicks in. How does that work? Like, is there refund basis, or like how will that work?
So very, very, very happy to ask that. One of the things that we amended in our administration process is that this year, when you apply for Tutuka, we are going to ask for your banking details. So the moment Tutuka says there's green light, you've been approved for funding, then we are going to process the refunds automatically with and I think it will depend on the timing. So once Tutuka says we are all good, we're going to start reconciling and process the refunds and make sure that you get your refund without having to log a query to follow up. We will advise in a timely manner. And one of the groups that we've got this year is the Tutuka group, where now, if you have applied for Tutuka, you can join it so that you can get just the updates on the Tutuka. So as soon as they come back and say that we received 10 applications from you, EPC, and we've approved all of them, then we are good to go. Because the process is that we take the documents and then we review that it's complete and we send it to them. Then they do take some time because I think they administer all the programs, as you can imagine, the other professional programs as well as ours. So they then take some time to review. But once they review, they can come back and say, oh, Stembingos is missing, the ID is missing this, and it's missing this. Then we're like, okay, yeah, the documents and so on and so on. Then they say approved. Once it's approved, then we process the refund. So we'll keep you updated on those processes and timelines. And the moment it's approved, we'll then advise when you can expect your refund. But your refund, it's returned to you, no admin charges. All the amounts you've paid will then be adjusted accordingly, get an updated statement, and the refund processed accordingly.
Thank you so much.
Sure. William, hi.
Hi, Elolwani. I think Josephine's hand was first.
Oh,
But
yes,
I
yes,
think,
I see.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's fine. Sorry, Josephine, to skip you. I think mine is just to add on what Tembinkosi was asking. So with regards to the Tutuka process, do they send you a list of people that are eligible, or it's up to us as candidates to apply once we have received our script and the competency letter from SAICA?
So it's a two communication process that so firstly they'll communicate with us that they've now approved or they've gotten funding, and now there are so many candidates that are in the pipeline, and given their budget, it means that they're going to be funding a candidate so much amount. So they communicate that to us. Then they will say that they are going to send the initial email, which they give us as a copy to also communicate with you just in case you missed that email. So they will then tell us that every candidate that qualifies, they're going to send them an email, and they're going to just ask us to just emphasize that email. Then once that is done, then you will know and you can start with the process. So the process from our side will then just give you the guidance that they will have given us. But generally speaking, they will want confirmation that you are registered, your proof of address, the proof that you exist, the proof that you are either African, colored, depending on the criteria, the fact that you prove that you set for APC 2023. So they've got some criteria. So we'll then just share that with you, and then you will know and compile the documents, and we'll advise how we're going to receive the documents. Once we receive the documents, we are going to then review those to say, is the contract signed? Is this done? Is this attached? Is this? So that's what they ask us to do. So then we review and sign off and say, William's application is complete. It's ready for submission to Facet stroke to Tutuka. So that is how it works.
All right, that's noted. Thanks, Adolwani, and sorry, Josephine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josephine. Sorry about that. Go for it, please. Seems you're the last one for the evening.
Okay, thank you. My first question is, I'm an ICAS student, and
Yes.
thank you for engaging ICAS on our behalf so that we can also benefit fully on the program. In the event that it doesn't come out all right this year, are we going to be considered like what you're doing with Namibia as far as our text questions are concerned, that we don't need to write the text question and you can just mark us based on for our assessment? Then my second question is, as a returning student of APC, do I need to write to someone who can do the calculations for me for what I paid last year for my 40%, or I can just do my own calculation and then come up with my figures? Or I need approval first?
All right, so interesting second question. So yeah, for the first question, so that will be a yes, Josephine. So that will be the ICANN arrangement that will apply, as I've said. So thank you for that. Then for the second one, so I'm not sure whether finance has gotten a situation where there was a difference, but we still have the records of everything that you've paid, and you'll probably have the latest statement from us. So using the latest statement that the team will have sent, you can do the calculation. If for whatever reason there is a discrepancy, I'm sure then finance will then reach out just to make sure that there's an alignment. But the way that it works is that you'll make the first payment, and when we send the first statement, we will then have made the adjustment. So you'll probably see the adjustment before you notify us. So if then you see the adjustment and you disagree with it, then that's when you can probably log a query and say, no, the statement that I have, and based on the payments I've made, this and the program I was in, this is what I've paid. So accordingly, I would like the rebate to be relooked into based on this documentary evidence. So that will then be the process. But yeah, it's just they're not here, but I don't think they've ever had a query regarding that. But if for whatever reason we make an error, we'll be more than happy to correct it for you.
Thank you.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of our session. So thank you so much for joining us. So this is just the first part of it. If you still have any questions, any point of clarity, the team is available. Email, it's always best because we can always tackle it as a team. And when it comes to what? When it comes to any other issue, we will certainly look it up for you to make sure that you are clear by the time you join and you get the very best from our team. In terms of the registration steps, we've also summarized them here, but if you need guidance, the team is available. And that is all from our side. Thank you so much.